We have fire. It's burning down pretty good now. Just wasted all this time and effort. Let's give this another shot. Hello, welcome back to another episode from Pale Horse Survival and Tactical. I'm Bill. I'm glad you could join me. Today we're going to take a look at the barrel hitch. Stay tuned. Okay, the bucket hitch is a very effective way of using a piece of cordage to secure a container, whether it's a bucket, a can, a canteen, a jug, to either lift or lower it. You may want to lift it up into something, or lower it into a water source, for instance, that you can't physically reach. So you can attach a container to the end of a cord, some cordage. You can lower it down, and you're able to get water or fill a canteen that way. And it's just a lot more secure way of connecting the container to the cordage, rather than trying to tie it on and say you're lowering a canteen into a water source. If it's not on there correctly, your canteen may come off and and fall into the water source and be lost. So the way you do this, I'm demonstrating on a jug of water here. This is a gallon jug, and I'm using this because it's light colored and my cordage is green, just standard paracord. And I'm using the light colored so it'll contrast with it, so you guys can follow along a little bit easier here. So basically what we're going to do, I'm going to demonstrate it first, and then I'll do some close-ups on it. It's simple, but like anything else, when you're first trying to learn, it seems complicated until you get used to it. So you take your cord. You want to have enough of a tail on the end here to complete your project. If you don't have enough tail, you're going to come up short halfway through, and you'll have to untie it and extend your cordage. So you start out by, in this instance, I'm going to put 2 wraps on here to better secure it. Small containers, you can use 1, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So I'm going to put about 2.5 feet of tail back here. You want to center your container on top of your cordage, just like that. You bring it up, the 2 ends up to the top, and you tie just a simple overhand, single overhand knot into the top. Bring it down to the top of your container. It works just the same with this jug as it would on a bucket. You just want to bring it right down to the top, and then holding both ends of the line, you want to split this overhand. You just grab both ends of the loop, pull it. It'll open up. Make sure you hold on to your ends. If you drop them, it'll come apart. Bring it down to the sides. I want to bring this one down about 1.5 inches to the bottom, so there's a little more stability here. So this is what we have right now. That's the overhand split in half, ran down the sides. Now we're going to come back up to the top. We're going to put another overhand in here. bring it down to the top, just like we did with the first one. Grab both sides of the loop, split it in half again. Make sure you hold the ends here in your fingers. I just tuck them in with my pinkies. Bring it down. You kind of pull it, make sure it's snug. You want it to grip the container. So this is what we have now. That's 2 overhands split in half. Both sides of the container. Now bring your ends back up. Now your running end, you want to form a bite. A bite is a loop in knotcraft jargon. So just form a bite, a loop, and what we're going to do here is we're going to secure this with a bowline knot, and with that we're going to come around the front of the loop, underneath the standing end, up around the front of our bite and through the loop or bite. Pull your standing and running ends, and that bowline knot will cinch right down on here. Now you have a secure way to lift or lower this jug, and it's pretty secure in here. These can always be ran up just a little bit higher, this top one, to give it a little more stability so it's not too top heavy. Now I'm going to run that through again with some close-ups. Stay tuned. Okay, I got you got the camera in about as tight as I can get it here. I want to get some close-ups on this because it sounds complicated if you've never done it before. It's actually very, very simple once you get it down. So we have the container sitting on the cordage. You just want to excuse me, center the container in the middle, put the cordage so it's centered right in the middle of the container. Bring the ends up and run that simple overhand knot. That's all we're doing. We're bringing our 2 ends together. Just a simple overhand, just like you tie in your shoes. Bring that down right on the top. Now grabbing both ends with our pinkies. If you drop the ends and you bring this down, it's going to fall apart on you, so you want to kind of keep control of it. You grab both ends of the overhand here and just split it in half. Bring it down to where you feel it needs to be on the sides and center your intersections where the cordage intersects. Just center it up in the center of your container on both sides. I bring the cordage down to about 1.5 inches to the bottom so it has a little bit more stability. Bring your ends back up. And again, we're going to run another overhand. Just like that. Grasping the ends with the pinkies, the 2 tails, split the overhand in half again. You're just pulling it apart. Let the cordage move through your pinkies. As you split this apart, it's going to need slack. It's going to pull cordage inward. So just let it ride through your pinkies. Bring it onto the sides. Get it positioned, centered up. It'll snug itself. You put a little bit of pressure on both sides. This is what we have. 2 split overhands. Now we're going to do our bowline. So form a bite right over the top. That's just it's just a loop. And the reason why we put a bowline in here, it's a very secure knot. It's very unlikely that it'll slip. So if you lift in a container that has a lot of weight to it, it's a very secure way of securing this. You don't have to worry about the knot coming undone, slipping, and you losing the load. Okay, so we have our bite here. We're going to bring our standing end. We're going to come around the loop, the bite, underneath, go underneath itself, under the standing end. Come back around and then through the loop from the front, go from front to back. Pull your excess through, and depending on how much cordage you have there, if you're trying to lower or raise your container 10, 20, 30 feet, you may have, depending on how long your cordage is, and just keep feeding it through and pull it through, and then pull up and down on your working end. Give it a snug, and you have a very secure bowline knot. Make sure these split overhands are centered up on your container so it doesn't want to tip, and you're good to go. That's all there is to it. This will work with many different types of containers, soup cans, buckets, jugs. As long as you can secure the cordage around it, around the bottom and around the sides, it'll work for you. This is my stainless steel military canteen, so I want to demonstrate how to tie off a canteen. Just in case you have to lower a canteen on the end of cordage into a water source to, if it's in a spot, maybe there's a sheer cliff or something, you can't get down to it on foot, but you have a good viable water source down there. You can tie off your canteen using this method. Lower it down, of course stainless steel is going to sink, so would aluminum, and you could drop it into the water, let it fill, and then hoist it back up. And so we'll go ahead and demonstrate that. So same exact technique. Just center up the canteen, your container in the middle of the cord. And this is just a really good way of tying it off, rather than using a less secure method and then winding up lowering the canteen or hoisting it and having your canteen come off, hit the water and sink, and then if you can't get down to it to retrieve it, you're out of a canteen. So it's just a much more secure method. So same method here, overhand right on the top, split it. Some sources show that you can use one split overhand and then come up and form your bowline at the top. I like to use two. It's just good insurance, and it stabilizes. It goes a long ways to stabilize your container. So there's our first one. Another overhand on the top. Same deal, grip the cords with the tails with your pinky. As you split it, you're going to have to let slack run through. Let it take what it needs. Bring these around the side, give them a pull. Make sure everything's snug. This is what we have. Up to the top. Form the bite. Once again, I'm going to hold this between my knees because it's lightweight and wants to move. Same thing, go around the loop, the bite, underneath the standing end. And if I get the twist out of my cord here, there we go. And then back around the bite, through the loop, front to back. Snug down your bowline, and you have a secure container. And like I said, you probably see the value of having the two split overhands on here. Like I said, a lot of sources show just using one and then going up and forming your bowline at the top. I don't like that. It makes it top heavy. There's too much of a chance that it may flip out of the overhand at the bottom. So with two on there, that's very secure. It's not going anywhere, guaranteed. I could swing this thing around and it's just not going to go anywhere. I wanted to bring you guys in nice and tight here to demonstrate that bowline again at the top, because I think the split overhands are pretty self-explanatory. The bowline is probably the most complicated part of this maneuver, so hopefully you can see that. So we form with our tail end at the top, just form a bite. That's all we're doing. Take the running end. I have to hold this between my knees. Take the running end, run it around the bite, and then underneath itself, under the standing end. I've always found that repetition is the best key to learning. Do it over and over and over again until you don't even have to think about it. After this, we're going to come around the loop and through it, front to back. There we go. Feed your slack through. Get up over the top of your container, pull on your tail and your standing end, and then give it a little snug right on the top. And that's your bowline. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it today. Please like, subscribe, and share. I hope all of you are having an outstanding day or night, depending on where you're located. And I will see all of you very soon on the next one. Everybody take care. Bye-bye.